In politics, the first 100 days in office is very often seen as the most important, if not the most critical aspect of any, be it prime minister, president in America, or even in this case, a minister's vital time. Because it tends to set the standard of the rest of their career in that post or wherever they may go next. And of course, yesterday was 100 days since Kemi Badenoch had took over as Minister for Business and Trade. And to be honest, in those 100 days, it has not been really seen as a success. Kemi Badenoch is very, very quickly being seen as someone who talked a big game, but when it has come to ministerial competence, she has not been delivering. She is very quickly being seen as a failure. And this can spell absolute doom for any future political career. You want a prime example of this? Look at what happened to Priti Patel. Priti Patel came in, the big potential, even potential successor to Boris Johnson. But what happened to her? It was the small boat. She was promised continuously she would get immigration and these small boats under control, and yet she failed to do so, as we've said many times, for obvious reasons. And what happened to her? She was seen as a failure. And she wasn't given another cabinet position. She was instead shuffled off into the backbenchers because she was a failure and people had recognized she just was not competent and should not have a ministerial role. And it seems to me this could very well be the fate of Kemi Badenoch as well. So, before we go into what essentially are these, well, recently the 100 days really of failure, because to be honest, any minister worth their salt would be using this to extol their successors. However, Badenoch did not use this opportunity to do that. Because why? Well, she has not really had many successors. So, before we do go talking more about this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and of course the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. The Patreon page down below as well, the YouTube thank you button, and of course the Pony Club as well. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. Even if you do just click on the like and share button, that helps as well. So thank you very much to you if you do that as well. And on with this. So, as we said, 100 days in office, significant time for any politician, and you would think you would want to celebrate this, because this was something, if you look back at Liz Truss's Instagram, something she did constantly. Any position she was in, when she reached those first 100 days, she'd be on Instagram, her Twitter, going bang, bang, bang. These are my first 100 days. This is what I've done. Even if those were seen mildly as not very successful. But what happened? It got her a big level of notoriety. That's why she became so popular, because of, well, her Instagram and Twitter usage. And a lot of people don't really realize that. It's something I don't see very often, that's how she became so popular. And at the moment, as we've seen, Badenoch is second, or at least she was second. I have to wonder whether she will keep that level of popularity, because just in the past 2 weeks, we have seen really how much of a failure she has been. So first of all, you had the retained EU law bill in a showdown with essentially the ERG, and she did not make herself any new friends in this, with many on the right of the party who were not members of the ERG basically coming out to say, yeah, you have squandered any chance you may ever have of becoming prime minister. And it wasn't just people on the right, it was all the members in the Conservative Party that were very, very shocked by the way that Kemi Badenoch had acted during that session, saying that if she was under the type of pressure that a prime minister would face, would she be able to keep her calm? Because there were a lot of people saying that she got angry and she got agitated by the questions that she was being asked. And if you cannot keep your calm and cool and collected as being prime minister, then how might she react during what might be the very intense exchanges at the dispatch box during PMQs? Then, of course, we get into the recent failures because there was an urgent question raised by Jonathan Reynolds. This is the Labour shadow chancellor that has her position, and he had this to say. So it's now been 100 days since we first welcomed her to this new post. And in that time, we have seen steel production fall to record lows. The automotive sector has been issuing warning cry after warning cry that government policy risks shipping jobs overseas. So, what has she had to say? How is she going to defend her record on this? Well, this is what she said. So, regarding the automotive sector, she said that the issue that the automotive sector are talking about is about rules of origin. This is something that the EU are also worried about because of the cost of the components has risen. And then this is where it gets funny, because she says this without any hint of irony. This is not to do with Brexit. Pre-Brexit, we did not have to deal with rules of origin because we were members of the European Union, we were in the single market, we were in the custom union. We did not have to worry about rules of origin. This did not exist. This has only come about because of Brexit. And she went on to blame, oh, it's the Russia-Ukraine, it's the pandemic that's really to blame. When no, these car companies are explicitly blaming rules of origin checks. That only came about because of Brexit. So the idea that this has nothing to do with Brexit is a complete sham. Then, of course, she wanted to say, "Oh, but I've signed us up to joining the Pacific Partnership. That'll sort all these car companies out." Meanwhile, if you look at countries that are in the Pacific Partnership, you look at Japan, Australia, New Zealand, probably certainly advanced economies that can afford the type of cars that we make and produce. The rest of these countries that are in the Pacific Partnership, if you look at their average wage and for the type of money we we sell these cars at, you're talking at about a good 6 to 7 years worth of wage to buy one of those cars. Not only that, Japan has its own automotive industry that is very, very dominant in Japan. It is very rare that you see any other non-Japanese brand in Japan. And same for Australia. Australia and New Zealand very, very much dominated by, well, the Japanese brands and their own brand of car manufacturing. And yet we're going to build these cars and then ship them halfway around the world to sell them. We've said it once and we'll say it before. Distance in trade matters. That's why the German car industry said, yeah, we want to try and sort out these tariffs as well, because we want to sell cars into sort of the UK. This is the much sort of very, very late idea, of course, that the German car industry is coming to save Brexit, but it's not. It's the German car industry has said multiple times, no, we want to be in the single market customs union. We like being in the single market customs union. It is your rules that is affecting our factories that are in there that are affecting these components. And as the car industry has made multiple times, that if you do this, we're probably going to have to move jobs, industry, and the manufacturing out of the UK into Europe. And if you read between the lines of the statement released by the car company, I think it was the Vauxhall owner. If you look at read between the lines, it said, "Yeah, we're going to give you until 2024. Otherwise, we're going to make some investment decisions you are probably not going to like." And I'll tell you now, that investment decisions is probably going to be money not spent in the UK. And then for the steel industry, I have said this multiple times. If the Conservatives were actually serious about saving the steel industry, they would commit to decarbonizing the steel industry. Will they do that? Absolutely not, because it would mean massive investment into the steel industry. And they have demonstrated time and time again, they are not interested in doing that because it is against their ideology. So, Kemi Badenoch, essentially 100 days of failure. And we can only hope that she meets the same fate as Priti Patel. Because, to be honest, if this is how she acts as a minister, how on earth would she act under the pressure of being prime minister and failing to deliver anything significant of her own volitions and her own merit? Because even though she praised joining the Pacific Partnership, she had pretty much next to nothing to do with really negotiating that. That, to be honest, was a Liz Truss thing. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.